What's up guys, Jiven here, bringing you another video. Today's topic is going to be how to go pro in Fortnite. I'm going to be going over all the major things that you need to be doing in order to see major improvements. Before we hop into this video, I just want to say thank you to everyone that's using my supporter creator code. I got up to over 900 people using it in the month of January, and it's a new month now. Let's see if we can break that record and maybe even get up to 2,000 this month. That'd be insane. But my code is JivenTV. Using that code is the absolute best way to support me. And I want to tell you guys about a new website called Novos.gg. Basically, Novos is a new training platform that helps you customize your own training schedules, giving you daily drills that'll help you improve on certain things you're working on in-game. So let's hop into a little more detail of what this is. So this is how you sign up. First you have to make an account, and then you link your Epic Games account, and it's gonna figure out where your skill level is currently at. And then it's gonna have you select certain skills that you really want to improve on, and it's gonna have you put in your schedule. And then it customizes an entire schedule for you, step by step, what you should be working on at different points in the day. As you can see, when it makes your schedule, you're free to rearrange it however you want. You can add more time to your schedule, add more routines by simply clicking the add new routine feature. And then you can type in something you want to practice like piece control, or you can search up coaches like Aimer7, Croder, Tito, whatever you want. And then when it's time for you to work on something in your routine, all you got to do is double click on it, and then it'll pop up an entire step-by-step what you should be doing during the routine. But yeah, Novos is insane. It'll get you the right approach for your training routines. So if you're trying to get better, this is an amazing route to go. All you have to do is go sign up now. There's a 7-day free trial. Link is in the description. So now let's hop into the video. First thing I want to talk about is probably something that a lot of you have learned in your time grinding Fortnite. It's that playing Fortnite a lot isn't enough to go pro. If you just grind arena every day and you're not seeing improvement, it probably means that you need to incorporate more discipline into your practice. Now let's talk about what that means. Sure, grinding Fortnite and arena every single day, that takes discipline. But the thing that takes more discipline and a lot of people miss out on is focusing all of your practice on your weaknesses. If you watch my videos, you know that I say this all the time. I always say that if you want to go pro, you basically just need to get rid of all of your weaknesses. And once you have no more weaknesses at the game, you have the skill to go pro. But if you're not placing in tourneys or you're not gaining arena points, that probably means you still have weaknesses that need to be improved on. The way I figure out my weaknesses is just by watching back gameplay after a grind session. If you don't have recording software, there's no need to worry, because another way I do it is simply whenever I die, I think about how I could have not died in that situation. And even if I win a fight, I try to think about what did I do wrong in the fight. How could I have ended the fight faster? Were there moments where I was choking edits, stuff like that? And I try to do this as often as possible. Like say I leave a fight less stacked than I started the fight. Like I took a lot of damage, I wasted all of my mats, and I left the fight unhealthy. That means I probably need to VOD review that fight and figure out how I could have ended it faster. Another situation that you need to try to VOD review is if you get into a 50-50 with somebody accidentally. 50-50s often happen on accident, unless if you're just cycling into somebody's box. But if you get in a 50-50 on accident, you can watch back that gameplay and try to figure out how you could have avoided the 50-50 and use their psychoing against them. It's stuff like that, analyzing gameplay and finding your weak points, and figuring out what moments you messed up, even if you survived it. There's a lot to learn from every single fight. When you watch pro players play, a lot of times you say, why are they fighting terrible players? I'm always in these sweaty lobbies. But a lot of pros just make good players look bad because they've learned to end fights fast and like piece control, get their opponent full boxed and quickly finish them before anything goes wrong. So once you figure out stuff that you're struggling with, just take notes throughout the day, think of things that you did wrong, and think of ways to fix those errors in the future. Novos, which I talked about at the beginning of this video, can help you a lot because it basically lays out practice routines and tutorials for every single thing in the game. So you can basically just tell the app that you're struggling with something, and then, it'll give you a practice routine on how to fix it. Another aspect of discipline in Fortnite is running scrims. This is something I personally struggle with because I don't play scrims that often. I like to play arena because 1, it's more fun, and 2, it's better for content. I don't really consider myself a comp player, but if you really are trying to go pro, you need to be participating in any scrim ladders that you can find. You probably already know what scrim ladders are. They're basically scrims without zone rules, and they're in a tourney format. Like, scrim servers will host these ladders and make the point system the same as upcoming tournaments so that you can have the best possible practice, and then they add prizes as incentive. So this makes competition really intense in these scrim ladders, and you need to be participating in as many of those as you can. A lot of players that are just starting to place in tournaments and, build a name for themselves are people that have been grinding scrim ladders for a long time and just gradually improving their placements in the ladders, and then eventually that's going to show in actual tournaments. The next two things I'm going to talk about are super important. It's when to take fights and how to play certain tournament formats. In Arena, you want to be taking as many fights as possible. That way you can face as many opponents and learn as much as possible each game. However, you also need to know when not to fight. A lot of people nowadays just psycho into any fight, but if you're weak and don't have very many mats, you want to take a little bit of time to get out of shambles. So farm up mats, try to find some extra heals, and avoid fights until you get those things. Now, let's say you're in a tournament and you have good mats and you have good fighting weapons and heals, but you don't have any movement like bouncers or anything like that. Something you could do is grab a harpoon. That way when you see bouncers on a down body in late game, you can harpoon that. But another option would be taking a fight. If you have everything you need to win a fight, you might as well do it if it's going to better you for late game and better your chances of winning the game. You could look for something to third party or try to fight on dead side of zone, which is the side with the least amount of players and the side where no players are actually going to be rotating to. If you fight over there, you probably won't get third partied, and winning that fight could set you up for the dub. You want to be thinking what you can gain from the fight and what you have to lose. If you're set up perfectly for the win in a tournament, you might just want to play for late game if the tournament is placement based. During the recent solo cash cup, I figured that points were going to be really high because of a lot of people would be W keying. But then afterwards I realized if I would have just played placement, I probably would have placed top 10. Because there were many situations where I was really set up to win the game, and I would just take a fight because I could. It's what I practiced in Arena, and I figured if I practiced it in Arena, I could probably apply it to the tournament. But you gotta realize, like, in a champion solo tournament like that, the fights are gonna be really hard to end fast. And a lot of times, I would be starting fights when I'm already set up for the win, and even if I won the fight, a lot of times it would take so long that I would set myself up in a really bad position to win the game after it. So when I was set up for the win, I should have just played for the win instead of taking an unnecessary fight. For reference, the solo cash cup was 20 points for the dub and 1 point per kill. So it was more heavily based on placement. And when that's the case, it's a champion tournament and it's based on placement points, you gotta be playing for the win. Only take fights when you need to set yourself up to win later. So let's talk about how you should approach different types of tournaments. Let's say you're playing in an open tournament like DreamHack. In this type of tournament, you need to have a pop-off game early on. Whether it be your first, second, or third game, you need to have a really big dub. This doesn't mean that you should blindly push into every single fight. You should play it like Arena, like I was talking about earlier, where you take fights when you're healthy and have mats. And if you're not in that situation, or you get really weak and shambles during a fight, try to dip out of that and avoid fights until you get everything back. But it's crucial that you get a pop-off game at some point, whether it be a 10 kill dub or a 20 kill dub, 30, whatever. You need to position yourself higher on the leaderboard early in the tournament, and then from there, you try to play placement for the rest of the tournament. Yeah, you want to get some kills here and there, and if you fall behind the leaderboard, say you're in like the bottom 3,000, then you want to have another pop-off game. But you want to stay consistent after you have your one big pop-off game. And if you're not playing consistent, go for another pop-off game, if that makes sense. But let's say you're in a champion cup, like the trios cash cups or the solo cash cups, or even FNCS. In these types of tournaments, it's important that you play consistent throughout the whole tourney. Starting off with a dub can help you out so much, just like in DreamHack. But the first game lobbies, because you're in a champion cup, are going to be harder than usual. And it's going to be a lot harder to get a major pop-off game. From my experience, it is important to go for a pretty high kill game early on in the tournament, but it's not always going to be possible. So you need to be very selective with your fights and make sure that you set yourself up for the win early on. Winning one of those first games is huge. So don't rush everything like you would in DreamHack. Pick smarter fights where you're sure that you can win and there's not going to be a third party. or you can be the third party for other fights. The biggest thing is you want to try to get to dead side of zone. And if you don't know what dead side is, you should watch one of Arab's tutorials. He does a really good job of explaining dead side. Basically, it's the side with the least amount of players and the side of the map that players are not going to be rotating to. Like say zones pull into the far side of map, you want to go to the far side of that zone. If you play on the edge of a zone that's pulling all the way across the map, if you're on that edge where everyone's rotating to, you're going to get third partied in any fight you take there. So that's what I mean by playing smart in Champion Cups. Don't fight on the edge of zone where everyone's going to be rotating to. Pick a fight on the far edge of zone where people aren't rotating to because you're less likely to get third partied there. So let's do a quick little recap of this video. At the very start, I talked about discipline and how you need to be practicing your weaknesses. When you watch back your clips, or even after a fight happens, think about all the ways you could have ended that fight faster and moments where you choked edits and stuff, and try to fix that in the future. The reason pros are pros is because they know how to end fights fast, no matter the situation, no matter the player they're fighting. And ending a fight fast will set you up much better for the victory at the end of the game. Then we talked about the necessity of a good practice routine where you work on all of your weaknesses the entire time you're playing, whether it be focusing on them while you're in fights in arena or practicing in creative. That can help you out so much and push you to the next level. And then as you just heard, we talked about what the best way to play tournaments are and what fights are worth taking. The best fights to take are on dead side of zone because you're less likely to get third partied. And just a reminder, if you haven't already, you should definitely go check out Novos because that website will help you with everything I talked about in this video, game sense, and all of your mechanical skills, and keeping a good disciplined routine. Be sure to use code JIVENTV in the item shop, like and subscribe if you're new. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.